Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Thursday, the 15th of May, 2025. Well done on making it this far. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. We're going to be talking today whether Russia actually wants peace. Yet. Spoilers. So before we get into that, we're going to have a big shout out to the people in the chat. We've got Scott in there, we've got Darth 4x4, we've got Rosie2911, we've got Pete's Music, and Phillips. We've also got UK Medsy, we've got Gallifrey and Wren, Witchy Goth is in there with Joanna. Hi, Joanna. We've also got Richard Grumpy Git, we've got Simon Smith. We've got Saz in there, and we've got Ori, and we've got Billy Kershaw. Hey, how you all doing? If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, make some new friends, perhaps. Have a little conversation on the side while I'm talking. Or maybe you want to, got something you want to say to me? You got something you want to say to me? Well, hit the subscribe button. And then you can write in the chat here. You can just write stuff in there. Don't be a troll, because it's one strike and you're out. Don't be even slightly trollish, or we will mute you. So you can watch, but you can't say anything. Like a eunuch at an orgy. Right, okay, so moving on. We're going to be talking about Russia today. Russia's the TV channel that used to broadcast in the UK, Russian propaganda all the time, that Nigel Farage used to be a really big fan of, used to be on Russia Today all the fucking time. Let's see what's happening in Russia today. Oh, look, it's Nigel Farage, and he's now got a moustache. So, look. Let's start with the news, which is that Putin will not be joining the other leaders meeting in Ankara, the capital of Turkey. He's sent a junior delegation instead, after Zelensky called his bluff and said, "Yeah, you want peace talks?" So the Russians asked for these peace talks, and then Zelensky's like, "Okay, let's go." And then Putin's like, I was only joking. Let's go back to 2014. Crimea and the invasion of Donbass. These were test cases to see what Putin could get away with. Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and covert operations in Donbass, with the opening moves in a very, very, very long-term campaign. A campaign that's gone on for 11 years now. Don't forget, Second World War only lasted for 6 years. So this is a long-running campaign. The 7-year war lasted for 7 years. So this is a very long-running campaign of invasion of Russia's neighbor. Putin described the fall of the USSR, famously, as the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. This move was all about restoration of the past glories of the USSR. The USSR collapsed properly in 1991 into 15 countries. Count them, 15 countries. Let's try and count them off the top of my head. Belarus, Russia, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan. Take that, Vlad, you Vladdy bastard. But he can't name them all. Now, unlike most people, most normal people, I've been to all these places, and they're quite happy being independent countries, really. Even places like Belarus, which is so far up Russia's arse, it can see the future. The people who live there, they would just rather be Belarus. It's okay. It means White Russia, actually. But, they would rather just be a thing on their own. They don't need... But their leader, Lukashenko, is like, oh my God, I just love this Putin man. I just love him. I love him. He's mine. I just want to swim with him with kisses and loving. Whoa, 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 whoa. Tell me what to do, Daddy Putin. A position which the current American president is jostling with him for, Let's see who can lick the boots of the Russian dictator the most effectively. Let's see who can really shine up those boots, with their tongues. Fucking bastards. Anyway. Zante Sukan Amy has joined Superstar. Yes, welcome. New member to the channel, which is very exciting. So you can get welcome. You are awesome. Hey, thanks very much, Amy. And oh, do you know what? Do you know what? Right, I'm just having a look at my chat window, and I see it says subscribers only mode at the bottom. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to see that bit. This is what happens when you stream for other people. Anyway, moving on. Okay, I'm officially impressed. 15 countries with very similar names reeled off with minimal hesitation. Couldn't do that with my own children's names, and there's only 4 of them, says Anne. I could bore you to death with every country in the world if you want, but I think it gets a bit tedious once you get to the 74th. Anyway, so, yeah, Russia used to be part of the USSR, which was always imperialist Russia. That was Russia in its height, its imperialistic phase. Everything was run by Moscow. Each SSR, so you had like the Ukrainian SSR and the Azerbaijani SSR. Every SSR, the Soviet Republic that made up the USSR, had to defer to Moscow. If Chernobyl blew up, which it did, then it went to Moscow to decide what to do, not Kyiv. Kyiv, which was called Kiev because the Russians wanted to call it that. So imagine, just have a little bit of a think here, imagine if the French had invaded our country, right? And they demanded that everyone call London Londres. Did they call it Londres? I think so. Well, maybe that's the Spanish. Maybe the Spanish invade and they call it Londres. And then everyone calls it that. And then you meet people and they go, where are you from? And you say, I'm from London. And they go, oh, you mean Londres? And like, no, London. That's what we call it. It's a place in our country, and that's what we call it. But because everything was dictated from Moscow, everything was dictated under Lenin, well, at the start, but then, you know, the Soviet Union really expanded under Stalin's control. And then subsequent leaders like Brezhnev, etc. And they ruled the USSR with an iron fist. And not just the USSR, because then you also had the Soviet sphere of influence. So places like Bulgaria and Romania and East Germany and Poland and Czechoslovakia and Hungary, which weren't actually part of the USSR. They weren't members, they weren't SSRs, they were countries apparently in their own right. They had to run everything through the HQ in Moscow. This made people in Moscow, the people in charge, who had the money and the food and the bread and the gold, they all felt very, very powerful. It made them feel really powerful running these countries and telling these people what to do. And if they don't do what we tell them to, off to the gulags. And this went on until 1991. And then finally, that absolute nightmare of an empire came to just a really sad end. It just disintegrated because it was a shit idea. And there were all these different language groups and all these different people believing different things and wanting to live their own way. So, you had an Orthodox Christian, nominally, Russia ruling over, let's say, Catholic Poland, or let's say Muslim Kyrgyzstan. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't, still does. Dagestan, Chechnya, these places are majority Muslim. Well, at least they were last time I checked. Who knows now? Probably moving people around like fucking Stalin used to do. So, in imperial restoration, that's what you've got to look at, Putin's motives in all this. He wrote in 2021 he wrote this essay on historical unity where he described Russians and Ukrainians as one people, despite the clear language differences and the fact now that Ukrainians celebrate Christmas on December the 25th and in Russia they still celebrate Christmas on January the 7th. Now, look, I know that changed after the invasion, but still, it's a bit of a separation. Ukrainian and Russian, they're two different languages. The people of Ukraine do not want to be ruled by Russia. That's something you've got to understand, and that's something that you should care about. The people of Gaza don't want to be ruled over by Israel. The people of the Falkland Islands didn't want to be ruled over by the Argentinians. They just didn't. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it was. And I felt that, that the Argentinians decided to take that place by force. That shouldn't be something that should be allowed by the international community. In the same way that if any country decides to invade any other country on some stupid pretext here now in the 21st century, pretty much they can fuck off. Because it is just imperialism under a different name. Invasion, annexation, etc. I think there is a place for the UN for NATO to go into places that have been invaded by their neighbors, like Western Sahara, and try and sort the shit out, or Kashmir. Try and sort that shit out. Yes, please do that. Please sort that shit out. But this idea that these lands historically belong to us. I mean, every fucking land historically belonged to someone else at some point. Borders shift. But let's just say now it's 2025. Can the borders that are there, can they be the borders, please? And can places that do not want to be ruled by some kleptocracy thousands of miles away, how about they don't have to be ruled by a kleptocracy thousands of miles away? And we actually support places like Somaliland and Western Papua in order to get self-determination. To me, it's all about people rather than lines on a map or access to warm water ports or whatever. But to Vladimir Putin, this whole, we're one people nonsense is because he believes truly that the USSR needs to come back. Things were great when the USSR was around. You knew where you stood. There weren't any trans people. So yeah, this ideological underpinning, it rejects any kind of diplomacy going forward because it denies Ukraine a right to exist as a separate state. Because Putin doesn't think it's a separate state. He thinks it's part of Greater Russia. And the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was planned months in advance. The troops started building up in autumn 2021, and the invasion didn't happen until February 2022. And when the invasion did happen, 190,000 troops were in position. That's not a defensive move or mood. That's a conquest. There's simply a conquest. And Putin's peace proposals, every time we've seen them, they're just tactical pauses for Putin to rearm. Russia negotiates not to end the war, but to regroup every fucking time. Like the Minsk agreements in 2024, 2025 were repeatedly violated by Russia, even as it claimed to support them. The no preconditions things is a lie. Russia demands demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. Euphemisms for surrender. There's no Nazis there, and demilitarization means you've got to put down your weapons and put us in charge. And here's the thing, right? I can't make this any simpler for people who seem to have trouble getting their heads around it. If Ukraine put down their weapons, there is no more Ukraine. If Russia puts down its weapons, there will still be Russia. They can just go home. Ukraine doesn't have territorial ambitions over Russia. Doesn't want it. No countries want Russia. Why would anyone want that place? It's a few acres of snow and misery. Why? Anyway, these are not negotiation positions. These are ultimatums, just dressed in propaganda. And Russia's behavior betrays its intentions every step of the way. Peace offers are always paired with escalations. Even while proposing talks in Istanbul, Russia launched 110 drones at Ukraine yesterday, killing civilians. That's not diplomacy. It's not diplomacy. That's psychological warfare. It quite clearly is psychological warfare. I mean, we want peace. How's the best way to get peace? Oh, by killing all the civilians we can. And this low-level delegation that's being sent to Turkey is an insult to diplomacy. Like, they're sending these second-tier officials to Istanbul shows contempt, not commitment. Putin didn't attend because he isn't serious. Zelensky wants to attend. He's there. He's in Turkey today because he's a serious man who wants to do things seriously. Putin's not. Putin's just a fucking joke. He's a joke dictator who has to throw his mates out the window every 2 minutes like some kind of bloody horrible slapstick comedy of horror. And look at what they did in Bucha. Absolute massacre of civilians. Torture and massacre of civilians. It's too early in the morning to go through all the horrific things they did in Bucha, but it was fucking horrific. The stories I've heard of what happened. Izium, Mariupol, and elsewhere. Russian troops executed civilians, old ladies shot in the back of the head. They bombed hospitals. And, sorry, content warning, trigger warning. They've used rape as a weapon of war. And no state who is actively committing genocide negotiates in good faith. Because there is no good faith. They're not doing it because what they think what they're doing is right. They know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. But they've been so brainwashed by the state media in Russia, by the internet. It's just tightly controlled by the Kremlin over there to just pump out propaganda every day. You think it's bad with the UKIPers, refuckers over here? Well, you think it's bad with Trump over in America, the MAGA cult? Have a look at Russia. Jason, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. If Russia ends the war, its economy is finished. Yep. It can't end the war, so that it won't. It needs to be made. It needs to be forced. It needs to be strong-armed into ending the war. I'm gonna set a super chat challenge. Extra Graham. Right. If you want some extra Graham, there you go. I've made a goal. There you go. I've made a super chat goal. Graham, can you please look at my question above? Says Diz. Okay, I'm going to look at your question above. Morning, Alistair. That's not a question. Diz. Hi, Rosie. That's not a question. Diz. Pete. That's not a question. Good morning. Where's your question? Oh, my God. Oh, should Andrew Ray unsubscribe if he has to go to the US to visit his brother with cancer, and that does it affect his payments? No. Subscriptions are free on the channel. If you mean he's actually a member of the channel, yes, I would say that if you are going to America and you have joined this channel, I would unjoin if I were you. Okay, I know that means less money for me, but it's only a couple of quid a month. So you can use me PayPal instead. Graham David Hughes. But yeah, please don't put yourself in any kind of situation in which you might be detained by the lunatics in America. Anyway, so yes, I hope that answered the question. Yes, I think you should. Don't worry about the subscription because obviously you can resubscribe when you get back. You can rejoin the channel when you get back. But yeah, Mr. Tusk 27 says told as a kid stories from Germany, East Prussia when people killed themselves and kids rather than be liberated by the Soviets. Once they were brutal, nothing changes. Yeah, true. You're never extra just enough, Graham, fishing for compliments. No worries. No, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, okay. No, I mean, yeah, if you've joined this channel and you're going to America, I suggest you unjoin it and join again once you're back. Which, it's a shit thing to have to do, But this is the world in which we live in at the moment. It's not safe. America is no longer a safe place to go. In the same way that I had to make sure that my laptop had nothing on it that might upset the authorities when I went to Saudi Arabia on my travels around the world, because I came in and out of Saudi Arabia. Oh my God, how many times? So I went to Saudi Arabia from Djibouti. I went there from Kuwait. I went there from Bahrain, from Qatar, from the UAE. I also went to Eritrea and back. So six or seven times I went in and out of Saudi Arabia. And I had a laptop with me, so I made sure it was clean as a whistle. It was so clean. So clean. I didn't even have Minesweeper on there because I thought that the crosses might offend them. I don't know. I just wiped everything. Yeah, you're not getting me. But yeah, now you have to do the same thing for America. Wow. That also goes for your mates on Facebook, by the way. Explain to them, unfriend them, while you're in America, especially if they're like me and they're tweeting every day or they're writing every day. Putin is a gobshite. Trump is a shitbag. You don't want them to check your phone, press on the Facebook button, and the first thing that comes up is something saying that Trump is a fascist dictator fuckhead, which he is. Anyway, so this meeting in Turkey today and tomorrow, these peace delegations are not a diplomatic overtures. Well, they're not even that. They're not even an overture. They're just public relations efforts aimed at Western audiences to make it look like the Russians are being reasonable when they're absolutely not. And yeah, they're sending technocrats to Istanbul while shelling Kyiv. In the 2022 Istanbul talks, Russia pulled out just weeks after Ukraine discovered mass graves in Bucha, fearing international backlash, not seeking peace. Don't forget that. And this demilitarization that they talk of, it means what they want is total Ukrainian surrender. It's about removing Ukraine's ability to defend itself. No sovereign state would ever agree to disarm in the face of an existential threat. And when you say this to the UKippers, to the Brexiters, to the refuckers, when you say this to them and say, how would you feel if France invaded Britain and took like a fifth of our country, so it just took everything in the south up to Birmingham. They drew a line at Birmingham and they went, that's ours now. And then all the international community were going, well, the French do have a historical claim over Britain. Look at the language of English. It's very influenced by French. That's why our spellings are so fucked. And you think about William the Conqueror, 1066. Like, if you look at your history, then you'll see that actually the French should really rule all of Britain because, they call Wales Pays de Galles, like literally the land of the Gauls. Who are the Gauls? The French. Come on. How many historical things do you need to know that the thing that the French should be? And you ask these UKIP motherfuckers, you say to them, hey, how much would you fight, Richard Tice, if it was this country that was invaded? And Tice is like, well, I would fight to the death. Clearly, I would fight to the death. And you're like, yeah, Richard, would you though? Really? Would you? But, while you're claiming that you will fight to the death to defend Britain against a foreign invader, you're telling Ukraine that they should just give up and give half their country to Russia. Which I don't think they should. I don't think anyone watching this thinks they should either. Anyway, so yes, this idea of the denazification as well. They want a regime change. The mad thing about this is that there are Nazis in every country in the world. Imagine if America invaded us on the grounds that there are Nazis here, or invaded Canada on the grounds that there are Nazis in Canada. You'll be like, hello, America? Hello? But here's the thing. The leader of Ukraine was elected leader of Ukraine. The reason why they're not having elections at the moment is because there's a war on and there's an existential threat. In the same way that Britain did not have elections during the Second World War. It had a government of national unity. And the parliament of Ukraine in Kyiv voted to suspend elections while the war went on. The approval ratings for Zelensky are off the charts compared with Western leaders, compared with Trump, compared with Keir Starmer at the moment. Just saying. And also, just a little cherry on top of the propaganda pie. Do you put cherries on? You can have a cherry pie, can't you? Zelensky is Jewish. Hello? Bueller? Hello? Oh, hello? We've got Toyota. Woohoo! Thank you very much to Toyota Corolla. Thank you. Named after a car. Are you friends with Ford Prefect? Thank you very much, Toyota. Hello from Sacramento, California. It's 1 a.m. here right now. ICE will have to drag my body out the house if they want me. My grandpa did not fight fascists just for his grandson to be taken instead. Stay safe. Love the content. Oh, thank you very much, Toyota Corolla. That's very, very kind of you. And please stay safe. Stay safe. There are thugs going around America at the moment, pulling women out of their homes by their hair, pretending to be ICE agents, or even not. Maybe they are ICE agents and they're pretending to do the will of the government, and they're not. They're doing the will of Trump, who is behaving like a dictator. I don't know if anyone saw the grilling of Kristi Noem, the famous dog killer, who's currently in charge of, I don't know, what is it, the FBI? No, that's Kash Patel. She's she's in charge of ICE. She's in charge of Homeland Security, and she's just got absolutely grilled. People going, why are you not doing this? Why have you overspent your budget? And she's got no answers for anything. She's just a horrible little squawking, horrific. I don't know if everyone's watched the end of Andor, and I don't want to do any massive spoilers. All I want to say is fingers in your ears if you don't want anything like a hint of a spoiler, but I want what happens to Dedra. I want that to happen to Kristi Noem. I want it to happen to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want it to happen to the what's her name? The theatre wanker, woman, the one who whacked off her date in the theatre because, Christian values. I want all them. I want all them to suffer the same fate. I'm not going to say what that fate is, but, oh God, it was satisfying. Oh, it was delicious. Anyway, any peace deal that Putin is putting forward is a code for annexation, occupation, and purges. And these are there are so many crimes that effectively make the peace that Russia wants impossible. The Bucha massacre from March to April 2022. Civilian bodies were discovered, many with signs of torture, execution, style killings, and sexual violence. International experts called it a war crime and potential genocide. Russia denied responsibility, calling it a provocation, a false flag attack, despite overwhelming forensic evidence. You've also had 1.6 million, at least, Ukrainians have been forcibly relocated to Russia or the occupied territories. Filtration camps have been set up, mass deportations. Children have been ripped from their parents in Ukraine to be raised by psychopaths, sadists, sexual abusers in Russia. And we're not just talking about a handful of kids here. We're talking about, this is systemic. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of children who are at the moment being abused by their new Russian parents, their adopted parents in Russia. With no checks, no security, no oversight, no safeguards, nothing. And that's happening right now. And hardly anyone's talking about it. This is a textbook example of a crime against humanity. These children kidnapped from Ukraine and put up for sale in Russia, and no one's talking about it. We talk about the Israeli hostages that were taken. Why is no one talking about the Ukrainian hostages, the child hostages, who right this instant are being abused, bought by the highest bidder for whatever disgusting, sadistic, it doesn't bear thinking about. And yet, no one's talking about this. Why is no one talking about it? Because Russia is a big fucking player in the old oil and gas game, innit? And it's all about the gas. It's all about the oil. It's all about the coal. It's all about the filthy, filthy fuel and the money that it gets you. And then you've got the targeting of civilian infrastructure. Russia has repeatedly and deliberately attacked hospitals, schools, power stations, water facilities, UNESCO-listed cultural sites. and civilian evacuation routes during what they said was a ceasefire. Met people who had come from the east of Ukraine who were told that they had safe passage out and their convoys were attacked. And one of the things that's always going to stay with me is there was a 15-year-old refugee who I took to Germany with a little brother, and they were in Kherson, the city of Kherson, which was taken by the Russians. It's now back in Ukrainian hands, but it's been shelled, it's been attacked. And she was supposed to have safe passage out of Kherson. She was supposed to be evacuated as a child, and they had attacked the convoy. So she had first-hand experience of that. And she showed me on her phone a video. This wasn't a photograph, wasn't photoshopped. It was a video that she had taken on her phone of the dead bodies on the steps of what I think was the town hall in Kherson. And no one was dressed in military fatigues. These were all civilians. Absolutely horrific crimes committed by the Russians against the good people of Ukraine. And yet you still have these brain dead wankers who know nothing, have studied nothing, have been nowhere, trying to tell me that actually, Ukraine deserved this if you think about it, because they elected someone that Putin didn't like. And is he going to stand for that? Sorry, Zelensky wasn't the president in 2014 when Russia first invaded. And then we've got, and I'm sorry, trigger warning here, rape as a weapon of war. There has been systemic sexual violence by Russian troops. The UN and Human Rights Watch have both documented cases of rape, often in front of family members. Victims include women, men, and children. Russia's military command has taken no visible action to investigate or punish the perpetrators. They literally do not care. They don't care as these crimes are being committed by their own soldiers. And when people go, oh, we're all just the same, Britain's invaded places as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if Britain invaded, I don't know, Guinea and did this kind of thing, I'm pretty sure that the people who perpetrated these crimes will be brought to book. In fact, have the book thrown at them. But no, nothing. They're not even bothered investigating at all. And then we've got cultural erasure and dehumanization. Russia's rhetoric regularly dehumanizes Ukrainians, calling them vermin, Nazis, subhuman. And these are classic precursors to genocidal violence, echoed by Russian state media and government spokespeople. And thank you very much to Alistair, just for the hard work. You do a wee bit to it. Thank you very much, Alistair. That's very kind of you. And also another super chat from Michael Warner. Just to add, not all Russians. Yeah. It's enough though, isn't it? Thanks for the super chat. And negotiating at the moment without justice just emboldens future crimes, doesn't it? And I always mention the 2008 Georgian invasion, the invasion of Georgia, in which Putin annexed South Ossetia and Abkhazia. 1/3 of the entire nation of Georgia was just taken by the Russians in the matter of days, with very little international condemnation, hardly any sanctions or protest by the NATO states, the Western states. Why did that happen? I'll tell you why it happened. Because when I went to Georgia for a few days in 2010, you saw them everywhere. EU flags, flags of NATO. The thing was, at the time, Georgia was looking towards Europe. It wanted to join the EU. It wanted to join NATO because it was scared of what Putin, the psycho, in the Kremlin and his little familiars, his little fucking wretched little bastards who carry out his biddings, what his army, what his mercenaries might do. And they were right. They were right to fear that because that's what he did. He fucking invaded and took a third of their country, something that hardly anyone ever talks about. The 2014 Crimean annexation. Russia, I think we like pulled some diplomats out. So let me get this straight. So Russia does something absolutely intolerable. It invades someone else's sovereign country. Not only that, it shoots down an airliner full of civilians. MH17, Malaysian Airways, shoots down a fucking airliner. And what did we go? Oh, we'll withdraw some diplomats from. So some rich people from Russia, some rich Russians have to go back to Russia and get another job. A handful of them, compared with the population of Russia, which is what, 130 million people, is it? We're gonna get 56 of them, and we're gonna tell them they have to get a new job. That'll fucking learn them. And now, you know, these things that Putin did, the murder of Alexander Litvinenko, can't get his name right, Litvinenko, fuck, I'll get it right one day. The murder he was killed at polonium. And then you've got the murders of various people, which caused fuck all problems to him. But the one that probably should sting the most for British people is the murder of Dawn Sturgis by Russian operatives in Britain on British soil. And in the days after that, our fucking foreign secretary at the time, a horrible, rancid blob of foul deformity called Boris Johnson, Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, motherfucker, went to an orgy, a Russian organised orgy with the son of a KGB agent in Italy, in the wake of a British citizen being murdered on British soil by Russian operatives. What was the lesson? What was the lesson that Putin learnt there? Impunity works. He gets away with everything. He got away with meddling on our elections, meddling in the 2014 Scottish referendum, meddling in the Brexit referendum. There's never been an investigation. Parliament told the security forces in this country, our intelligence services, told them not to investigate. Told them not to fucking well investigate. People wonder why I hate Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage so fucking much. Because they will sell this country down the river for a fucking orgy. To go stick their little shriveled peckers inside a miserable Russian prostitute and snort cocaine off her back. Because that's the life they live. Decadent, debauched motherfuckers who want to destroy everything we love. Everything we love. Not just about this country, but about our way of life. Our freedoms. They want to take them away. They won't take them away from themselves. Fucking hate them with the burning fucking fury of 1,000 suns. There's not enough bad things that can happen to those people. There just simply isn't. People say that you shouldn't wish that kind of thing on people, but I do. I can't help it. But when it does happen, when the day comes, when it happens, all these motherfuckers, I'm going to be so fucking happy. Gotta rub my hands together. Gonna do a little happy dance. And Phillips, thank you very much for the super chat. Sad but very necessary conversation today. Yeah, I know it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm sorry. What's about fun stuff? I want to talk about music and movies and fun shit and amazing coincidences. That's what I want to talk about. So yeah, he kind of expects, Putin expects another pass now. He expects a seat at the negotiation table rather than in the dock at The Hague, which is where he should be. And peace without punishment isn't peace, it's surrender. You know, Ukraine is not asking for vengeance. It's just asking for Russia to get the fuck out of its country. It's asking for truth, accountability, and safety. And you can't make peace with someone who sees you as disposable. This is why I don't think there will ever be peace in Ukraine, in Russia, unless we go in all guns blazing. Literally. And yes, I am advocating that. And some of you might think, well, that's a bit far, Graham, but you saw the state of their tanks. You saw the state of their vehicles. You see the state of their fucking military. They're having to draft in mercenaries from North Africa and from North Korea and other places that begin with the word North. And they're in like old fucking tattered combat fatigues. They don't even have nice uniforms to wear because they've got no fucking money to spend on it. And they're just there to waste bullets. The Ukrainian bullets. That's what they're there for. They're there to keep running towards the lines, keep getting mown down forever. And Russia is cool with that. You've seen the state of their army. You've seen the state of their navy. They've lost half their ships to a country that doesn't even have a fucking navy. You're scared of their nuclear weapons? They don't have any fucking working nuclear weapons. None of them work. You've got to maintain nuclear weapons. It costs a lot of money. America spends more on maintaining its nuclear weapons than Russia spends on its entire military budget. So do you think Russia's maintaining those weapons in a place as corrupt, a kleptocracy of the Kremlin? You think they're looking after the place? You know, you see those big fucking missiles be paraded through Red Square when they have one of their little military parades. Fucking empty. Fucking hollow. Movie prop. Let's bring out the movie props. Okay. Little fucking cardboard fucking tank coming out. You know, it's a man and he's just wearing a tank. Like the two sides on this thing held together with a bit of string, a bit of gaffer tape. Ovi, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for everything you do, Graham. Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thank you. That's very kind of you. So let's just talk about how Russia uses peace talks as just another weapon in its arsenal. Going back to 2022 when they had the first Istanbul negotiations, Russia pretended to negotiate in good faith. Meanwhile, it reinforced the troops, it redirected attacks, and it prepared for new offensive. Talks collapsed within weeks. Russian forces were forced to pull out of the Kyiv suburbs, not by diplomacy, but by force. By the fact that the Ukrainians fought back a lot harder than the Russians were expecting, a lot harder than the West was expecting, by the way. People were shocked at the defense, the fury, the passion of the Ukrainian people, because I don't think people understand what it's like to have your country invaded. That idea in the West has kind of fallen out of our collective memory because the people who remember it are incredibly old now, and they're not the people in charge necessarily. And the people in charge are cowards, traitors like Boris Johnson, Trump, who famously never fought for his country, dodged the draft because his daddy was rich, went to a private school because his daddy was rich, became a racist real estate investor because he was rich. Russia, in 2022, it never agreed to any real terms, and it just used the time to rearm. Then there was the grain corridor shoot of 2023. Russia agreed to allow grain exports from Ukraine, only to bomb the port in Odessa merely days later. The deal was a PR stunt to deflect criticism and split the global south from the West. Because at the time, people were starving in Africa, or there was a threat of starvation in Africa, because a lot of the grain that came to Africa came from Ukraine. Putin now sends a junior delegation of technocrats to Turkey while staying at home, which is a diplomatic insult. I mean, even Trump has said if the talks go well, he might turn up. He won't, but Putin wants talks with no preconditions, but demands that Ukraine cede territory and demilitarize. It's not peace, it's surrender. I can't stress this enough. It's fucking surrender. And this every ceasefire that Russia has ever been involved in favors Russia. Look at Syria, look at Georgia, look at Chechnya. Ceasefire has been used to regroup, to reposition forces, and to spread this propaganda so it's seen as being reasonable when it's completely not fucking reasonable. Ukraine has said it will only consider peace if Russia fully withdraws, acknowledges Ukrainian sovereignty, and allows war crimes investigations. I don't think that's too much to ask, because Russia is so in the wrong here. It actually pains me how much they're in the wrong. And Putin refuses all of this. He wants negotiations that end with Russia carved up to his pleasure and the West pacified. And what real peace would require is demilitarization of Russia's invasion capacity. Long-term peace depends on limiting Russia's ability to just fucking repeat this in any of the other 14 US former SSRs that he might want to invade. Moldova, Georgia, the Baltics. We need an international tribunal for war crimes. We need security guarantees. Ukraine must be able to defend itself, either through NATO membership or cast iron multilateral protection. And Russia must pay for the damage it's caused through seized assets, frozen funds, or court-mandated payments. Absolutely. But Russia doesn't want peace. It doesn't want a settlement. It wants submission. It wants to win, no matter what. It just sees peace talks as an extension of the battlefield. That's the way it works. That's the way it works in their heads. It's all part of this process. Oh, well, we need to regroup. Okay, we need to rearm. Okay, well, we'll say that we want peace talks, and then that can go on for a few weeks, and things will settle down, and we'll get more troops in while the Ukrainians can't be bombing us, because we're saying, hey, we're having a pause. So the Ukrainians stop bombing the lines, the extra reinforcements coming in eastern Ukraine, and then they go, oh, I'm only joking. No, actually, yeah, we said we wanted peace, but we seem to have bombed another hospital. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. While Putin is winning, he needs to wait it out, and he'll get whatever he wants. He'll come to the table if he's losing, so send more weapons. Yes, David, and here's what I postulate. Right? Here's my thing, right? Here's my 2 cents. I think NATO should just declare war on Russia. Come at me. That's it. We're at war. Fuck off, Russia. Get back in your little box. Get back in your little fucking cardboard box with a tank painted on the side of it. You're a paper tiger. You're a fucking joke. You couldn't win in in Ukraine. You couldn't really win in Syria, propping up the Al-Assad regime. How did that go for you? You can't win. You don't have the military. You didn't win in what happened in Azerbaijan when Nagorno-Karabakh got taken over. No, you were supposed to protect the Armenians living there. You couldn't. You didn't have the forces. You're a fucking joke. No one respects you. No one thinks you've got anything intelligent to say, except for dickheads like Donald Trump, who's a dickhead. He's too stupid to understand what's really going on. And, I think it's time for NATO to grow a fucking spine and tell Russia to fuck the fuck off. Get the fuck out of Ukraine now. Because otherwise, women and children die. And do you know what? While they're at it, declare war on fucking Israel as well. Get the fuck out of Gaza. Let fucking food get in. Stop starving children. Fuck off. Stop letting these military dictatorships get away with it. And I know you're going to say, well, Graham, that's a bit tough on Israel. Is it really a dictatorship? Well, Netanyahu's a wanted fucking war criminal. He's a wanted criminal in his own fucking country. The minute that he's not prime minister of Israel, he's going into a fucking cell. And he should spend the rest of his life in a fucking cell for all the crimes that he's had committed by the IDF. on his command and his say-so. Tell him to fuck off. Sanctions don't work. Oh, we're going to put more sanctions on you, that'll learn you. We're talking about a corrupt network of fucking international criminals, Russian gangsters, Russian mafia, operating in countries all over the world. Every time some rich, pompous dickhead snorts a line of cocaine and thinks, oh, I'm the arm, I am the arm. Every time they do that, they're giving money to the Russian fucking regime, to the Russian war machine to continue to rape and pillage across Europe. And yes, I will say that I don't think that Russia deserves to be called European. Russia is repeatedly throughout history acted like not European. They hate that. That's why I do it, because I know they fucking hate it. But the border between Asia and Europe is an absolutely arbitrary one. But here's the thing. I don't think Asia wants Russia either. So here you go. Let's just have a new continent, right? Called fucking Savage Land. Let's call it fucking Savage Land. That's where the fucking savages live. You know, the cannibals, the rapists, the sex offenders, the pedophiles, you know, pedo, rapist, fucking Savage Land. That's what we'll call it. And we'll say, no, it's not Europe. It's not Asia. It's its own thing. It's just, you know, a few acres of snow drenched in blood and savagery. And exclude them. Make Russia feel like it is the pariah of the world, which is what we should be doing. We should be doing that to Russia, and we should be doing it to Israel at the moment. The pariah of the world. Make them know that their actions are unwelcome, because here's the thing. You do shit like this, other countries go, oh, nice Guyana you've got there, says Venezuela. Would be a shame if something happened to it. Ooh, that's a lovely Belize you've got there, says Guatemala. Would be a shame if something happened to it. Oh, that's a nice bit of desert over there that we've wanted for ages, says Mauritania or Algeria over Western Sahara. Would be a shame if someone just, I don't know, came in with a load of fucking tanks and took it. Had a big fucking war with Morocco. That'd be a shame, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be a shame if, I don't know, the Spanish took Gibraltar? It looks like it's part of Spain on the map. But then would Morocco say, well, if you're gonna take that back, I'll have the other side of the Pillars of fucking Hercules. I'll have Susa. It's Spanish at the moment. It's a little Spanish enclave in Morocco. We'll have that. And you know, before long, the whole world will be fighting against each other over stupid fucking border wars, border skirmishes, and wanting to expand its own land because we have given the go-ahead. We've given it to China to go and invade Taiwan. We've given it to all these places that have been just itching to go and take that land that they believe is historically theirs for whatever fucked up reason they come up with in their heads. What will happen to Kashmir? I have no fucking clue. But I'll tell you what's not going to happen. More peace. We appease Putin does not equal more peace. In fact, it equals the opposite of that. We appease Putin. We risk wars that we cannot contain going on all over the world all at once. And the misery, the famine, the starvation, the sexual violence, the horror, the torture will be indescribable. And the fact that we're here in 2025 when we should have moved on from all this shit. We've got enough resources. We've got the internet. We can communicate like never before. We can learn like never before. We've got the power. We've got the ability. We've got the knowledge to make the world a peaceful, wonderful place where everyone can just live the life that they want to live, under the ruler that they want to live under the regime they want to live under. And yet, here we are in 2025 talking about the domino effect that's caused by appeasing Putin. So I say no. They don't want peace, so don't fucking appease them. Go at them, all guns blazing, so that no one else ever tries this kind of shit ever again. And America won't come along with us on this journey. Of course they won't, but fuck them. I think the way America's going, we are quite rapidly heading towards a future where America just, it's not as important as it used to be. because of one man, because of Trump, which is mind-blowing if you think about it. But in a recent survey that came out, the majority of countries around the world that were surveyed trust China over the USA. My God, have the how the mighty have fallen, hey? Because of a cult. Because of a cult in America where they're just drinking the Kool-Aid. And there's a cult in Russia as well. There's a Putin cult where they all just drink the Kool-Aid. They're just loving that Kool-Aid. Thank you very much to SG for the £2 super chat. We need more Graham in our lives. Oh, that's very kind of you. You can have a little bit more of me. Such good will wasted on the window change, blown asunder. We could have had utopia. Yeah, Leanne, we could have done. But greed, the big Achilles heel of capitalism. And also communism, weirdly. Like, both of them don't work because of greed. You need a system that tempers greed. And we kind of used to have that in this country where we had 95% tax on very, very, very rich people. And that upset very, very rich people. The Beatles wrote a song about it. I'll tell you how it's going to be. 1 for you, 19 for me. Yeah, 95%. A little bit of mathematics there from the Beatles. But yeah, that's the way it should be. Tax until the pips squeak. There's going to be a introduction of, there's going to be a debate about introducing a bill to tax the super wealthy, tax on super yachts, etc. It's being introduced by Richard Bergen MP, who's not one of my favourites, but it's probably not going to. It's not going to get anywhere. But it's just to sort of open the debate on how you actually get money out of the super wealthy, which is something that we have to do. We absolutely have to do it, and we have to start taxing these corporations. And I can't understand why people who are not super wealthy themselves object to this. I don't know why. Lads living around here in Durham in a little one up, one down terraced house are like really, really concerned about whether their leader, Nigel Farage, can get his bank account with Coots. That's the main thing on their minds, is it? Is it that what keeps them up at night? Not worrying about paying the astronomical rates of council tax, one of the most regressive taxes that we have, a tax that is the highest in the places where we need it the most, and the lowest in places where they should pay the most because, oh my God, you live next door to Buckingham Palace. But why are you paying the lowest council taxes in the country? Oh, because the rich run everything. And that incestuous, ancestral wealth that comes down generation after generation and generation. And they've got their clever ways of getting around it. And they'll say, "Oh well, I'm not wealthy. I'm a landowner. I'm a farmer. Really, if you think about it, look, I've got some sheep. Pay someone to look after them, because that's cheaper than having to pay the tax. You know, when I cark it, that everyone else has to pay on their stuff. But I'm a farmer, and that's how you give £11 billion to your son when you cark it, like what the Duke of Westminster did. Duke of Westminster fucking carked it about 15 years ago, and his son made fucking coin and paid fuck all tax on it. Fuck all. And people are like, yeah, we salute their kindness. Oh my God, they're so clever. They're like jewel thieves. They should keep the jewels. They went through a lot of, like, they had to dance through laser beams and had to dangle from the ceiling like Mission Impossible in order to steal that jewel. I mean, they should probably keep it, shouldn't they? I mean, they put a lot of effort into that diamond heist. Yeah, we don't do that for criminals if they come from the lower orders, but when the criminals come from the upper echelons, they get away with murder. Just like Lord Lucan. Anyway, Saz, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Watch your videos when you went over to Kharkiv and with the convoy, taking Lego kits for the children. Thank you for all you do and are doing. Oh, thank you very much, Saz. It's really kind of you, and thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And want to do that again this Christmas. There was someone else who did it. Went over with toys this Christmas. I'm hoping to get over myself next Christmas, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But obviously, it depends on a few different factors. Because, It's a bit of an operation, to put it mildly. Orvi, thank you very much for the 5 Politics Social gift memberships. Yay! Thank you. Welcome, new members. Woo! We got Amy Walker, who's just received a gift membership. I thought you already were. We've got Kirsty McTia, who is now just got a gift membership. Hey, Kirsty! Yay! Kirsty's totally on board now. A friend of mine from when the Brexit wars. A fellow. What would you say? We fought the good fight together, didn't we, Kirsty? I continues to do so. We need to rejoin the EU sooner rather than later. Phil Morehouse put out a video yesterday going, we're having these renegotiations of stuff with the EU over the next week or so. Postulating that what might happen going forward and being able to get away with it could be interesting. Fingers crossed. But every step that we take from now on is a step closer to our brothers and sisters in mainland Europe. Hilgara, you are now a member. Well done. Hey, and Martin Napper is also a member, and also Loki, welcome Loki, the trickster god. Joanna says, I can't make payments as my Google account is a Google Workspace account. Oh, don't worry about it, Joanna. Don't worry about it. Your presence is all we need. And I think you've given enough already. So, yeah, don't worry about that. So I want this channel, see this channel hit 42k and start accelerating upwards from there. So Scott, yeah, that'd be great. That'll be super duper, Scott. Make it so. We were on 42,000. We lost a load of subscribers. A couple of things. It was the election last year. Like after the election, a lot of people just went, I can't be arsed with politics anymore. I need a break. And also when Phil stopped doing the morning brews as well, we saw a big drop off in the subscriber numbers. So we did get up to 42, and now we're down again. So yeah, if you can get us back up to 42, that will be boss. In the first year of this channel, like we were going great guns. It did look like we were going to overtake the Labour official channel on here when we were still Labour Social. Yeah, then the momentum kind of slowed down a little bit. Probably my fault, but I realized that I don't really like doing pre-records. I like doing this. I like just chatting with you. This is my happy place. I feel comfortable doing this, and I don't waste all my entire day trying to just get everything exactly right, because I'm a little bit of a nerd about that kind of shit. So yeah, but we'll see. So we've got the papers to have a quick look at. I know I've gone a little bit over time. It's 6 minutes past, so I will wrap up soon, if that's okay with you. But let's have a quick look at the papers today. We've got the Times here. We've got Tom Cruise, and we've got Agent Carter, Hayley Atwell there for the premiere of the final Mission Impossible film. We've got Starmer meets Albanian leader for shared migration solution. Keir Starmer will meet Albania's Prime Minister today as discussions intensify within government about plans to send failed asylum seekers to Albania. Early release for sexual offenders as jails on the brink. Public will be at risk. Victims, watchdog warned. Domestic abusers and sexual offenders recalled to prison after breaching their license conditions will be allowed out again after 28 days to free up space. That is really, really fucking disturbing. And also, Putin and Trump snub Ukraine peace talks. Obviously, we need to talk about that. Oh, yes, we have done. Okay, so the Express is leading with summer hosepipe ban almost inevitable. There's going to be £1,000 fines for people using their hosepipes. Meanwhile, the companies, the water companies are raking it in, and they've actually given massive bonuses to their bosses. Massive bonuses. We have hundreds of thousands of pounds to the bosses of these companies that make loads of money from nothing. Peckham fucking spring water. New demand to reverse cruel winter cut. Yeah, Labour faces new calls to restore winter fuel payments after it was revealed most OAPs cannot live on the state pension alone. That doesn't surprise me. It is fuck all. And then you've got Hannah. What's her surname? Hannah Good. Oh, I forgot that. Hannah Waddingham. Waddingham. She's in Ted Lasso. Someone tell me her name. It's Hannah. What? Oh, forget it. Doesn't matter. Big fat gypsy theme park battle. TV paddies. Travel award on roller coasters. Universal Studio row. Okay. And then we've got keep calm and keep your phone squeaky clean. New rules for traveling to Trump's USA. We've also got minister accused over surge in meetings with US big tech firms. A senior cabinet minister has been accused of being too close to tech after analysis showed a surge in department meetings with firms such as Google, Amazon, Apple, and Meta since they came to power. And people close to Peter Kyle, the sector 28 times in a row. More than his predecessor, the science technology, Michelle Donnellan. There's the cast of Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. And there you go. That's them there. And then we've got terms for offenders cut to ease jail's crisis. We just mentioned that in the other thing. World get left guessing over Putin Turkey trip. I don't think we're left guessing, mate. I just don't think it's gonna fucking happen. There is trail of the trial of rap legend. I won't go that far. P. Diddy, and then we've got Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise on the red carpet of Mission Impossible. Yet another Labour plan to go soft on criminals. Criminals will be hauled back to jail in just a few weeks of blah, 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 because the Tories filled up the jails and didn't build any to fit them all in. Idiots. Dream hole to jail hell. Family anguish of 18-year-old who went missing in Thailand, who's been found in an Eastern European prison in Georgia. British teenagers vanished in Thailand after being held in Eastern European jail on drugs charges. She's accused of smuggling a lot of cannabis. Oh, God, we're going to have someone. Obviously, we're going to have someone from the family. The family, there you go. We've got someone. Thank God. Thank God. Jesus. Woof. Got through a few papers there without having a fucking picture on the front page of that family. What's she done? What's she done? The Queen hosted a garden party at Buckingham Palace. Well, fuck me. God, we needed to know that. I'm glad that's on the front cover of the newspaper there. NHS offers treatment to trans toddlers under 7 to be seen by specialist gender clinics as guidance is altered. What the fuck? Fuck off the Daily Telegraph. This is such a shit rag. Assisted dying bill may fall as MPs change their minds. Second homeowners must pay more than double tax, says Khan Good. You killed our beautiful boy, we'll never forgive you. This is to do with the a boy who was killed in a blast in a drug factory. Cannabis, you know, that friendly drug, you know, that is really nice and friendly, and it's just grown by peaceful, loving hippies who just want the best for you and your family. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? The wacky backy marijuana. It's a nice drug, isn't it? It's a pleasant drug. It's a friendly drug. It's the drug that you give to a good person who makes this stuff because they just grow it in their backyard out of the goodness of their own heart, and is definitely not paying for criminal activity and the murder of, I don't know, children, or the murder of Stephen Lawrence. Because, you know, the ringleader in the murder of Stephen Lawrence, his dad was one of London's biggest cannabis dealers. Yeah. So can we just take a second to say cannabis isn't the be-all and end-all, for starters, because I know there's some people who really do think it is. And it doesn't work for some people. It works for some people, doesn't work for others. But also, if we legalized it, we wouldn't have this kind of thing happening. So can the people who take drugs get together and fight for drugs to be legalized instead of being such massive hypocrites and going, well, you know, I don't care where it comes from as long as I get it. Yeah, I could really do with that. They do with those two things coming together. People who take drugs, people pushing for drugs to be legalized. Can we have a little bit of overlap there, please? I mean, fucking hell, the amount of drugs that they're on in Parliament, especially when the Tories are in charge. New chapter, Trump softens stance on Syria. That's in meeting the leader of Syria, who up till recently had a $1 million bounty on his head for being a terrorist. Post-Brexit reset talks with Brussels stall over fishing and youth mobility. EU states seek new concessions. 5 days to go before key summit. Tory alarm over rule taking. Fuck off. And then we've got We've got the two strong Tesla board committee explores new pay deal for Chief Musk. So basically, they want to give Musk more money for like tanking the company. One of the factories that makes Tesla on the assembly plants in America, they're going offline. They're going offline for a week, which is like a big deal. And it's because there's not enough demand. And there's a little story here on the left of the page saying plans for electricity grid overhaul generate friction. The electricity market, designed for an era of large coal and gas-fired plants, needs an overhaul. More power comes from wind and solar sites across the country, but this cannot always be moved to where it's needed, owing to grid limitation. Every year, billions are spent on fixing the imbalance, and now the government must decide whether splitting Britain into zones that better reflect regional power requirements and generation will reduce those costs. Well, I hope it does. I hope it works, honestly. I mean, not just saying that to be a twat and go, oh, yeah, I'd like this fantasy to come true for me. But I can't believe the amount of shit that I can't believe it. Look at the people who are complaining about the redistributing of the grid, which requires new pylons to be built, right? I get it. You don't really want pylons going through an area of outstanding natural beauty. But here's the thing, they already do. Anyone who has ever been hiking in Wales, in North Wales, anyone who's ever spent time in the Yorkshire Dales or the Lake District or the Peak District, you'll see electricity cables going across the mountainside. It's just the way it is. And yes, it would be nice to bury those cables so we don't have to look at the motherfuckers. But that costs a shitload of money that we don't have. So if Rafe Fiennes and his millionaire mates who all went to private school want to pay for those cables to be buried, they can pay for them. I don't see why a little old lady who has to pay, £2.50 a week on her pension, as tax on her pension, because her pension just comes out slightly over the threshold for having to pay tax of, what is it now, 12,000 a year. So she earns like a fiver more. She has to pay tax on that extra. And why should some of that tax go towards a vanity project by the rich and powerful, by the elites of this country? Because they say, we don't want to see power cables that are already there. There's a power cable that runs through runs through Glastonbury. Anyone who's been to Glastonbury knows about the power cable, the pylons that run through the actual site. You can't do anything about. I mean, we could redirect them so they don't go through the middle of Glastonbury, but that would cost a lot of money. What's the fucking point? They're there. No one talks about them. Everyone just fucking ignores them. They get on with things. Don't camp underneath them, though, because A, it's scary, and B, it's a bit noisy. They actually make a lot of buzzing noise. If you go near electrical cables, you can hear them buzzing, which is a bit disconcerting at the best of times. But you'll notice that the same people who are moaning about pylons and moaning about net zero are the ones who are being funded by the oil companies, quite clearly. They're either idiots or millionaires being funded by the fossil fuel companies, the filthy fossil fuel companies that just want us to burn the carbon, take the carbon out of the ground, burn the carbon forever until we're all dead. Because it makes them money. Makes them money! Michael, on cannabis, it would be taxed to the hilt. Only rich people would be able to afford it. Absolute bollocks, Michael. What? Can only rich people afford to smoke? I mean, it's £20 a fucking pack, apparently, I was told. People still smoke. I mean, they smoke less because it's £20 a pack. But yes, our world is still beautiful, but just remember that when humans are bereft of love and the wisdom of love, we remain strong together. Yes, it's great. Graham, I'm shocked, says Sarah Davis. Shocked by the pylons. You must admit, though, the pylons used in Britain do look particularly shit. Why can't we have European ones? I think the European ones look shit as well, mate. I don't like them. I don't like them. If it was up to, if we had all the resources in the world, fine, bury the fucking cables. But we don't. And it's more dangerous to bury them. It's way more dangerous to bury them because things fucking happen. Things move, things break, things, and if you can look up and see, oh look, that cable's broken. There you go. Okay, fair enough. You can see that the cable's been broken, but when it's a case of some cable that's been laid years and years and years in advance, years ago, and I mean, the one story I always think of is, I think it was Georgia. We keep going back to Georgia at the moment. I think it was Georgia. It was one of those sort of Eastern European states around the Black Sea and the Caspian. And there was a woman in a back garden, and she was like digging in her back garden, and she pressed down on a spade, and it went through an internet cable, and it shut the whole country off from the internet. Just like, yeah, it's a bit easier to diagnose the problem when it's up. You can just look at it in the sky. You don't have to dig holes to try and find out where it is. How many wildfires in California are caused by broken cables which are underground? I don't know, Christopher, but we don't really have wildfires. Well, we will in the future, I guess, if the fossil fuel companies have their way. My sister smoked for decades, lost her job, had to sell her car, nearly lost her house, still couldn't give up smoking more than her unemployment benefit every week. She's given up now, though, says Anne. Yeah, smoking's insane. Like, it's even more insane now because it's so expensive. But if you want to stop people doing it, but like, whiskey's expensive. They still sell whiskey. And I assume that I know you can't overdose on cannabis, but it has two long-term effects on people. It makes them paranoid. Not everyone. Hashtag, not all pot smokers are paranoid. But I tell you this, every single conspiracy theorist I've ever met at the hundreds of music festivals I've been to, at the hundreds, in the hundreds of countries that I've visited, every single one of them has also been a massive pothead. I think those two things go hand in hand. Paranoia and the love of conspiracy theories. And yes, not everyone who smokes weed will go down that route, but I'm sure that it rewires the brain in ways that cannot always be predicted. Let's put it that way. And for some people, it works fucking great. It's absolutely brilliant. It takes the edge off. It gives them the power to focus on whatever they need to do or whatever. But, and I don't mean to lose, we're talking about getting up to 42,000 subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel. But yeah, I might lose a couple of subscribers by saying this. But there's a movie called THX 1138 by George Lucas, which came out before American Graffiti, before Star Wars. It was kind of like an experimental film. Well, it actually was. He did a short film when he was studying film in college, and then he extended it to this feature-length film. Has it got Robert Duvall in it? I've got in the back of my head that it's got Robert Duvall in it, but I'm not certain on that. Anyway, and in it, just like in 1984, people are given a pill to keep them subservient. So THX 1138, which is the name of the main guy in it, he stops taking his pills to stop him being subservient, just doing what they're told. And I often think about weed in the same way, because some people that I know who indulge a lot are the same people that don't really do much about the injustices in the world. They're placated. They're like, it's all right. I can just smoke my weed and everything's groovy. I don't have to get off my arse and actually affect change or do anything. So I do think that like a regiment of potheads wouldn't be as effective in augmenting the change that you want to see as a regiment of people who weren't necessarily potheads. And that's not a dig on everyone who smokes weed. I'm just saying, like, in the same way that if someone was really, really into alcohol, and that's the weird thing, you don't get the same kind of adoration of alcohol. I don't think, maybe you do, I don't know, but I've not had conversations that have bored me to fucking death at parties where people have gone on and on and on about how much they love alcohol. Oh my God, I love alcohol. Oh, I can't tell you. I'm going to tell you all the alcoholic drinks I've ever taken in alphabetical order. But people do with drugs. And they want you to feel the same way they do when they're on the drugs. So they're very much pushy. And as someone who's never smoked weed, never partaken in illegal drugs, and that look that you get, when people are sitting in a circle in the house party and they're passing the joints around and you don't take a toke on it, and they look at you like you're a fucking narc. They look at you like you're some like MI5 plant come to get them. You gotta grass us up. You gotta grass us up to the police and the busy's coming around, Graham. I don't know, no, but it's like that sort of look of disappointment. When your kid doesn't do very well in a school exam, and you're not angry, you're just disappointed. That's the kind of look that I don't care. So yeah, I mean, I think it should be legalized. I think it should absolutely be legalized, but I don't want to do it myself, and I don't want it anywhere near me. And also, I think that puts paid to the idea that people only want it legalized because they want to do it. Like, if weed was legal tomorrow, I would still not smoke weed. I hate smoking. I hate the smell of it. It's just, that's going to change. In the same way, I'm not particularly fond of gin. Gin doesn't do it for me. People like gin and tonic. I think tonic water tastes disgusting. I think gin tastes disgusting. Not for me. Not for me. But some people love it. You know, people. There was a book called Hurrah for Gin. That was written by someone who just like really loved gin. And maybe people do go on about alcohol as their best friend, their busy mate. George wasn't RFK a dope fiend or an addict of some kind? Yeah, that guy smoked a lot of dope and done a lot of cocaine by the sounds of things. RFK Jr. likes the strong stuff. Yeah. Some potheads build nice e-bikes, says Super Tiny. Weed was used for cloth, rope, paper, bird, seed, a useful plant. Yeah. Anne says, moved on to vapes. You can adjust the nicotine level to suit and the activity to replace the whole smoking ritual. You get a shiny machine with a choice of flavors. Yeah, but what if they're actually like a little pipe that makes like a whistle that they're secretly blowing into, and it attracts the witches. Did you think of that? It's letting the vampires in, the werewolves. Did you ever think that it might be a pipe that a whistle that attracts? Well, because only werewolves can hear the frequency. Are you letting a werewolf into your house? Are you inviting a vampire into your home? You need to think about these things when you vape. Joanna says, I tried the meds, had an allergic reaction, tried patches, caused my skin to blister, tried inhalers, damaged the back of my throat, tried gum, shattered the tooth. Oh my God. Gum shattered the tooth. What the hell, gum? Oh my God. That's awful. That's really shit. Some of my friends I made out in Japan smoke weed, and they offered me a blunt. I probably would have taken it had I not been sick. Fair enough. I've been off alcohol for 25 years. Still smoke though. Been smoking for 52 years. Leanne, I've told this story before, but I have a friend who used to work with the government. Used to work with in Manchester with drug addicts and with government policy for helping people to get off drugs. And the people whose job it was to get people off drugs, they'd always say it's easier to get people off heroin than it is to get people off cigarettes. Cigarettes have been purposely they've added chemicals to make them more addictive, purposely. Toxic chemicals, radioactive chemicals, chemicals that do untold damage to your internal organs. It is poison. I mean, it's something that they've done on purpose. Cigarettes now are more addictive than they were in like the 1950s because they've put extra chemicals in there to make them extra addictive. Because then the tobacco companies are not really in the tobacco industry; they're in the addiction industry, and that's why a lot of them are involved in vaping. But also, they got involved. Like Philip Morris bought Kraft food. Why? So they could get people addicted to their shit fucking food. Put chemicals in, make that food really addictive, so people think about, oh God, I need that addictive food, and they're in the addiction business. That's what they're in. Getting people hooked onto their product so they buy it every single day, which is weird and shit and unusual, and it shouldn't be the way it is, but unfortunately it is the way it is. Joanna says, I do wish the government would bring in phased banning of tobacco though. People should not have to go what I've been through. Yeah, I mean, they've done some good. Like when I was a kid, you go to the shop and you'd see behind like the shop assistant, whatever you were buying, you're buying a copy of the Beano, and you've got all these flash silver gold cigarette things. Can I buy some gold? Behind the counter. Now they're under the counter, or they're kept in a cupboard. We've taken that thing from Australia where they have to be like a certain color and a certain font, and I disagree with the way they've done it, because it's not about picking a color that people find unattractive. Colors on their own are generally not unattractive. It's combinations of colors. You get two colors that absolutely make people puke when they are together, and you have to use Comic Sans. That's the only font you're allowed to use on your product. No logo, no trademark, just Comic Sans Marlboro, Comic Sans Camel. No picture of a camel. It's just a packet that is two particularly obnoxious colours together, like baby puke yellow and green or something. Do the research, find out which colours really, really clash, what colours look absolutely awful, and then the name of the cigarette company has to be, or the type of cigarette needs to be written in Comic Sans. It's just like, what? I always hated it when people would have cigarettes back when people could smoke in restaurants. You could smoke in restaurants, and you could smoke in pubs, but in restaurants it's particularly irksome. And we had pictures of like diseased lungs on the cigarettes. They started this in Australia. And you'll be in a restaurant, and one of these fucking smokers will take the cigarettes out of the pocket, start to smoke, so that ruins the experience for everyone else in the in the restaurant, thanks to that. But also, they put the fucking cigarette packet down next to them with like a picture of a diseased lung in it, and you're trying to eat, and you're like, yeah. I remember being 13 and seeing a friend use Comic Sans on MSN for the first time and thought it was the best font ever. Yes, you were 13. It was at one point velocity. When in Cuba, I was a tobacco farm. They sprayed their leaves with cocaine to make them more addictive. Wouldn't surprise me. When I was in junior school, the teacher lit a cigarette and put a small plate above it while it burned. Then he forced us to smell and touch the tar that had built upon the plate. Made me feel sick. Yeah, teacher, when I was in school, he did it where this was when I was in junior school, he got a cigarette, he breathed it in, and then he got a handkerchief, and he breathed out through the handkerchief, and you could see the tar on the handkerchief, and that really freaked me out as a little kid. But yeah, it's quite interesting, like the peer group pressure. I'm quite glad that I never succumbed to it, because like literally I think nearly all my friends in school smoked. But it was funny because there was a lad in my year who started smoking, and then everyone else started smoking who was his mates. His little brother didn't smoke. He was only in the year below, and he didn't smoke, and all his mates didn't smoke. And it was like, wow, that peer group pressure really does work, doesn't it? But yeah, I've never smoked a cigarette. I never will. I think the death of Roy Castle was when I learned I would never smoke, says Christopher Bowles. Yeah, that happened at a formative time for me as well. But I've just always hated the smell of it. And my grandmother died of lung cancer. So, yeah, that's always going to be an association from when I was like 8 years old that I put with smoking, lung cancer. One of the deadliest cancers, very, very, very difficult to treat because it's your lungs. So I'm gonna head off now. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll just say I might be back at 6 o'clock today to do Hughes of the World on Egypt. However, I've got loads of footage from my time in Egypt. I first went to Egypt in 1999. I actually went twice in 1999. The first time I didn't take a camcorder. The second time I did. So I don't know if you want to watch 20-year-old Graham make a tit of himself in Cairo. But I've got that footage, and then I've got the footage of when I was there in 2009 to 2010. And that's when I went to the pyramids. And then I got some more footage from when I went in 2012. And the thing is that I haven't edited any of this footage together yet. And I don't think I'm going to have the time to do that today. Because I've got to get prepped for the show. So if I do the show on Egypt, Hughes the World on Egypt this evening, let me know in the chat if you're asked or not, because I know it's not a show that lots of people watch, but yeah, I enjoy making it. What I could do is split it over 2 weeks. So this week we have just the history of Egypt, which obviously is a little bit of a big subject, and then next week we'll go through. We'll have Graham's home footage, half an hour, where I'll talk about my experiences in Egypt and what I got up to while I was there, and what I think of it all. And you can get to see what it was like to spend the millennium at Egypt, because I was at the pyramids when it clocked over from 1999 to 2000, watching Jean-Michel Jarre doing a concert at the pyramids. True story. So if you'd like to join us for that, I might split Egypt into 2 episodes, do one tonight and then do another one next week when I've had a bit more time to get my footage together. We will see. Anyway, yay, Hughes of the world, says SG. Okay, cool. I'll definitely do a show tonight then, but it will just be on the history and the geography and the politics of Egypt, from ancient Egypt to modern day. Christ, there's a lot to cover. It might go on a little bit, and then next week I'll show my footage, because we've got going into the Great Pyramids, up the Great Pyramids. I've got the stuff from the Saqqara pyramids. I wish I'd taken my camcorder in the summer of 1999, but I didn't, because I thought it might get robbed or something, which was a stupid thing to do. I should have definitely taken it. But, these things happen. Another son marrying soon. I'll be surprised if there was any religion involved there either, says Anne Phillips. Okay. Anne says, my 2 married sons had civil weddings. Absolutely beautiful ceremonies. Not a pipe organ in sight. Joanna says, for me, I was 23, totally drunk and try one ciggy. I was hooked. I was craving just after that. Not good, says Joanna. Yeah. They're insanely addictive, and they've been made that addictive by tobacco companies that are, make billions and billions every year through selling these things, and as a consequence, they own a lot of governments and tell the governments what to do and what not to do. So try and fight back, but we are increasingly living in an oligarchy. Oligarchy? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Anyway, got 35 minutes over time. I think you've had enough. See you at 6 o'clock tonight. Here's the world. Be there. Yeah? Be there. Egypt. We're going to talk Egypt. Egypt. Woo! One of my favourite countries in the world. Until then, I'll just say thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for all the kind words. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.